Hi friends, it's Sarah, the owner and maker behind Multifarious Nature. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you are a new viewer, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, a big welcome back. I'm glad you guys are here for another episode. Get a sip first. Okay. Shop update. Still working on Advents. Very excited, you guys. I am making my way through and really, really excited about it. So if you want to get in on the Advents, heads up, they are going to be spinning related. So if you are a knitter but you don't spin, this Advent might not be for you. I do have, I think, one or two of my old Advents still in the shop. So if you do want to get yarn, you can definitely do that. But I will be having these spinning Advents coming up. So definitely make sure you follow me on Instagram and primarily sign up for the newsletter, because I'm going to send out a newsletter very soon that talks all about the Advent with the specifics, and I'm really excited about it. And I hope you guys are too. Yeah, I'm really, really excited. So all of the wool has totally been washed already. Like that was done. But I've been working on processing it because I'm hand processing all of the bats, and they will be ready to go and sent out in early November. But they're going to be for pre-order in October. So definitely make sure that you follow me. October is right around the corner, and that newsletter will be coming out very shortly. So that's the big shop update news that I wanted to share. And then I'm trying to think of anything else. Again, I have stuff all around me right now. You really can't see it. You probably can see some things maybe, but you can see the yarn behind me. But I have wool all around me right now, and you can't see all of it because some of it's secret. But it's exciting. Oh, I'm going to forget to do this again. Let me turn on my timer. I was pretty good the last time I did not put a timer on. I actually stayed very true to my timing, which was excellent. So, see if I can do that again. There we go. All right. Okay, so works in progress. What did I work on this week? Well, you guys, I only worked on one project. I only knit on one project. And, oh, I forgot to talk about my shirt that I'm wearing. I do not recall the name of it, and I should have put that in here somewhere. I cannot remember the name of the shirt. I made it like, I think 4 years ago. It's a cute shirt. It is lace work and really, really nice. I think it's a free pattern. I did knit it a little longer, so it comes past my waistband on my pants. And it's just really comfortable. It's a 50-50 blend. It's wool, and it is a merino, 50% merino, 50% cotton blend. It's like the primary cotton I like knitting with. Otherwise, I'm not a huge cotton fan, but I definitely enjoyed this blend. So, yeah, I will try my hardest to figure out what pattern this is and link it below, because I'd like to share that with you guys if you like it and you want to know what it is. As far as what I worked on my Stoker shawl. That is really what I worked on this week as far as knitting, because otherwise I was busy doing so many other things wool related. So washing wool, carding wool, because I have we did shear our sheep finally. Woohoo! I'll talk about that in the life update end of things. But so now I have more raw wool I need to wash. I do not like to store raw wool that's not washed over the winter time. That is my own rule. That is not a hard fast rule. That's a Sarah rule. I just always do. I have very limited space for storage, and I do not want to store my raw wool outside. So in order to store it in a closed facility with the other wool, it has to be clean, because that is all clean wool. It's my wool shed. So I store it in there, but only when it's washed. So I have to get those done. I am down to the wire because those of you in the northern hemisphere here realize that the temperatures are starting to go down, which is great. I love fall. I am so excited. Now we're officially in fall. So yay, sweater weather. It's not really sweater weather yet. In the mornings it is, but we're like, today it was not really sweater weather. This sweater I could wear is 70 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's still pretty warm. My goal after this, so this video probably won't be super long, but I'm going to be going outside to wash some wool, and then again, I let it dry outside, and it should be warm enough to do that. We had rain all last week, and so it was really hard to get wool to dry out there. So I'm definitely excited that I'll be able to do that. And this weekend, I hope to also, on Saturday, do some more wool washing if possible, so that I can get that done. So we did shear the babies. That was interesting. We did not think the babies would be hard to shear, but again, I'll talk about that at the end. Life updates at the end. It was a whole experience. Anyway, my Stoker shawl. So I worked on it quite a bit. You can see I have some nice leg length done on the lace. So the Stoker shawl is meant to look very Victorian, that kind of vampire-esque feel to it, and it's really cool. There's little buttons like the back of Victorian dresses. It goes down the back center. It is a triangle shawl, and it's just really beautiful. There's this lace work going on at the bottom. So this is the top. We'll go top down. So top, it's stockinette with a nice border, and then you start getting into your button detailing down the center, and then you start doing some like kind of a garter ridge going on, and then we get into the lace work. So I'm doing the lace work. There are some really beautiful details on this shawl, and I wish I could show it to you in the pictures, but the pictures are so dark that if I try to show you on the screen, you won't be able to see it. So I definitely recommend you follow the link to, it's going to be her Ravelry page. I love using Ravelry. That's my main go-to. It's so easy to keep track of my patterns and what I'm up to. So I'll include the link to that. She has a lot of different examples on there, and it is such a beautiful shawl. There are tassels. There's going to be a tassel that overlaps part of, so right in the center here where the lace is there's going to be a tassel, and then there's tassels on the very ends. It's really, really beautiful. This is using my hand-dyed yarn, Multifarious Nature, in the colorway Nightshade, and it actually is very similar to the color, not the same, but similar to the color that the designer Kristen Lurer used. It's a really beautiful like eggplant colorway. That's why it's called Nightshade. And it has some kind of red undertones to the dark, dark purple. And it's absolutely beautiful. I love purples. And this is such a dream. And it's really fun to knit on right now. Now that we are officially in fall, these are my colors. I am a deep, rich color girl. I like the fun colors because I think they're beautiful and they're fun to knit on, and speckle colors. But I really love my rich jewel tones and just deep, deep colors. So really excited about this one, and I'm looking forward to being able to wear it because I love my purples. It's really beautiful. And there you go. So that's what I've been working on this week. That's really the only thing when it comes to knitting. I didn't knit on my Straya. I didn't knit on my Weekender Crew. I didn't knit on any of those. They were sitting right next to me from last week's video. I did not knit on them. I wanted to, but I really got into a shawl. And I think a lot of it was because I wanted to wear it to that wedding, even though I realized I was not going to. And I found a beautiful shawl that I had, and that worked out wonderfully. But this also would have been a wonderful shawl to wear. So I look forward to using this in the future for other fun events and such. But I definitely want to work on these other knits coming up. But I'm feeling very monogamous with my knitting these days. I don't know. I think it's because I have so much wool processing going on that I really just want to focus on one thing with the knitting, because I only have a limited amount of time that I'm knitting. Really just in the evenings, and then at work, and then, or like during my lunch break for like 10 minutes. And then I knit for about 10 minutes in the morning, maybe, if I'm lucky. So that's 20 minutes of knitting. And then in the evening, I might knit for like a half hour after dinner while we're watching like a TV show. So I guess if you look at it like that, I get about an hour of knitting a day in, which is actually pretty good. I'll acknowledge that that is a luxury. Not many people have that kind of time they can set aside to it. Also being said, I feel very pulled in a million directions right now. Because I also want to read I don't know what it is. I'm really wanting to read again. And I've been reading that series. Oh my goodness. My brain it's escaping me again. But what is the name of that book series? I talked about it recently. I have the whole series because I broke down and bought it, and it's really good so far. But I only in the first book. I'm at the very end of it. Like that's how behind I am. I started it months ago, and the Throne of Glass series. I literally am at the end of the first book, and it's been months because that's how I just put it aside, and I like read a couple pages here and there, and it's sad. I so want. I guess I'm kind of veering into the life update end of things at the moment. Just segue. I just I want to get lost in books again. Do you guys? Can you relate? I know some of you guys are readers. I feel like a lot of us can probably relate to that. And I really miss when I was a kid and how I would read books. I would devour a book, not fast, mind you. I was never a super fast reader, but I would read a book and I would just get sucked into it. And I would get into the world and I would get into the characters and I just loved it. And I miss that. I don't know if it's just that as we grow, as we become more of an adult, it's like this going into another world and that you could be this other person or what have you. It just becomes like not something you think about. I don't know what it is. Is that adulting? Is that adulting? You guys, I'm almost 40 years old. Like, have I figured this out yet? No, I don't think so. But I feel like I want to have that joy of reading again. You know, that I don't even know what you want to call it, but passion for reading. Like I really want that again, and I'm getting closer. That Throne of Glass series is really good. It's just one of those things where I have to take the time and set the time aside to do that. If I could read and knit, that would be excellent because that would be really good. I know others do that, and I honestly don't know how they do it. I just don't. I can watch movies and knit, but many times I'll be looking at my knitting a little bit, unless it's stockinette, and I can just go do, until the end, and then I kind of look where I'm at. But if it's something like this, where I'm working with lace work, I have got to look at it. I have to see what I'm doing because I'm sometimes knitting two together. Sometimes you're doing slip knit and things like that. And like, if you're not looking, you'll totally drop a stitch. It'll be a disaster. So I don't know. I really want to get into books again like that. I really want to devour books. So I picked up a few books from the library too. I have so many books. We have our own little mini library at home. It's crazy that I went to the library, but I love the library. I am one of those people. I love it. It's so wonderful. Our library is ridiculously small. It really is. Very kind people that work there, though. It's incredibly small. It looks like they kind of revamped it, though. So I haven't been there in probably a year. I mean, I've gone in to check out material that I had sent in from other libraries. I just haven't like gone through the shelves and found books in a long time there. But I love the library. I used to work at a library years ago, years and years and years ago. I have to tell you, it was one of the best jobs I've ever had. I feel like I can still say it is one of the best jobs I've ever had. And I would love to work in a library again. It's so peaceful and being surrounded by books, what's not to like? If you're a book person, it's amazing. And you constantly get to see new material and old material that you've never heard of. It's amazing. I read so many fascinating books and was exposed to so many fascinating things at the library. So that's actually one of my, I'll call it my little nerd quirk, is that when I move to a new place, one of the first things that I do, I get a library card. So if that tells you anything about me, like, that is a really big deal for me. I get the library card and I feel like I've made it, because I definitely credit this to my parents, that they taught me that your library card can open it can open your world up, right? From a young age, you can't just travel and do those kind of things when you're really, really little, but you can take a book and you can be transported to a totally different universe and be exposed to different people and everything, and it's in a story. And so I know that is the power of a library card to me, is it can transport you, and I just love it, and it can expand your knowledge base so much. So if you don't have a library card, you should have a library card. Everybody should have a library card. I'm a huge proponent for libraries. Okay, other life update end of things. As I mentioned, we sheared our sheep, which is really exciting. That was quite the endeavor. I'm incredibly proud of us. We did it in one weekend, and I was hopeful to get half of them done in one weekend, and it quickly became I wanted to get them all done, because as I mentioned, it rained like all last week. And the tricky part with that is, or this past week, I say you can't, but I think it is a hard and fast rule because of safety that you should not shear a sheep that's wet. I am pretty sure that that's a safety rule. If not, maybe I made that up, but I'm pretty sure it is. A wet sheep, that's the recipe for disaster. I feel like that could cause all kinds of damage. So yeah, I'm pretty sure dry sheep is kind of the hard and fast rule. Obviously, you can't control what happens in their hindquarters, but like the whole sheep should be dry otherwise. And we quickly found out that because it was going to rain, we're like, well, the temperatures are going to start dropping. It's very important that you don't shear a sheep when the temperatures are going to be drastically different, because you can shock them. I mean, they have these nice, wonderful little warm coat on, and when you shear them, it's going to be a pretty dramatic temperature change. So we didn't want to do that. So if you wait too long, right, that won't be good. And you don't want to get rained on a lot after they get sheared again, shock and all that. Now we do shear with blade shears, so that leaves normally it would leave like half an inch to an inch of wool. We're kind of closer to probably an inch and a half in some areas, because again, we're still learning. This is our second year shearing. But we did it all. We sheared the 3 adult ewes on last Saturday, and we sheared the 2 babies on Sunday. My plan was not to do any shearing on Sunday. However, we just could not do them all on Saturday. We ran out of time. But we did do it on Sunday, and let me tell you, it was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. We got a lot better. The adult ewes remembered. I could tell that they remembered like what we're doing. They didn't like when we put the little harness on to get them up into the little stanchion we have. That's for sure. But once they got up there and they kind of were like, oh, I have my little hay in front of me here, and you guys are just going to give me my little haircut. It'll be all good. I'll be comfy. Like they remembered. That was really cool. And babies had no idea. So funny. So they're both different characters. Midge is very friendly, but she's also shy, and but very, very friendly, right? And likes to be rubbed and petted. Well, Ginger is also very friendly and likes to be petted and everything, but she will just stand there and zone out. Like, this sheep just zones out. She's hilarious. She's really funny. I call her my pocket sheep because, like, when she was itty bitty baby, Like she would just put her little face under my face and she would just stand there and I could rub her and she'd be like, I could stand here all day for the rest of my life. That's how it was when we sheared her. The very first time we sheared her, we got her on the stanchion and we actually could take the harness off of her face. And Dan, so my husband, he was holding them while I would shear and then we would take turns. But when he was holding her, like he said, he had his hand under her, of course, because he wants to make sure that if she tries to do anything, he can hold her for her protection. But, and so I pull the shears back so we don't have anybody getting cut. We were shearing her and she's like, I could stand here all day and get sheared. This is great. And that was hilarious. Like she was so brave. It was amazing. For this teeny, she's the smallest of all the sheep we have. And it was crazy. And Midge, on the other hand, Midge did not like it. She did not like it at all. And that poor baby, she was panting so much when we first started doing that. And I almost called it, but we needed to get it done. But I really was like, I was this close to calling it because she was panting so bad. I was putting water in front of her, trying to make sure she would drink water because I thought she's probably hot. It was humid. That was the downside, right? It was humid. She's a black sheep. They were the dark ones. So Sunday we have our black and our brown sheep, our Morit, and we were shearing them in the afternoon. It was like, afternoon into evening, and poor Midge. We did her first, and I don't necessarily think it got cooler by the time we did Ginger, but poor Midge, she was really hot. I think that's what was going on, and that I felt awful. Once we got her halfway shorn, that's when she started to realize, okay, this feels better. And she started kind of calming down. And then I think we didn't, because we have them like it's basically like a milking stand. So we undid like the little top that goes around her neck. And then Dan just had to hold on to her for dear life because she's a little bucking bronco. She's the goat sheep. We call her the goat sheep because she jumps up on things. She thinks she's a goat. And she would fling herself all over the place, and she did. She basically climbed Dan. I mean, he has scratches under his shirt. It's intense. She was not very happy about this whole experience until she was done. And then she's like, oh, this wasn't so bad. Like, by the time it was the end, she laid down. She was fine. Like, she laid on the bench, and she was like, oh, this isn't so bad. But up until that point, it was a fight. It was a fight, tooth and hoof, if you want to look at it that way. Oh my goodness. But it was a great experience in the sense that we got them all done. And that's big for us. Last year we did maybe 1 or 2 sheep a day, and it was like an ordeal. When we did Chanterelle, her first shearing, she was the first to go. She was the first to go this year too. It took us 2 hours to do her this year. It took us about 4 hours to do her last year. We did kind of like move her around. Like she was laying down on her side, and like I had flipped her up on her booty to do her tummy. It took forever. That took forever. So yeah. And then we had her standing so she could stand, and then we did took forever. That was a long process. And then the rest of them I think took about 3 hours or so last year. So this year they all took about 2 hours. I think they all, no matter how fast it seemed to go, they all seem to be about 2 hours each. So not bad. Not bad at all. I would say, like for our second time shearing, that's pretty good. I'm proud of it. We're not fast, but I don't really need to be fast. I'd like to do a good job, but I don't want it to take an eternity either. You know, sheep and all that. They probably wouldn't like that. All right, I'm blabbering on and on, but I just wanted to let you guys know about that. The sheep are all sheared, so they will be sheared probably twice a year. They had a nice length to them. It's not as long as their first cutting. That was like a really long one. But we figured this way it'll be a great length for spinning, and it will also give them less weight over the winter, because when I left their fleece on their first fleece last year and went over winter with it, yes, it gave them a good coat. However, it was super, super heavy. Like I could tell when spring came, they were uncomfortable. You know, it was heavy. And I don't want that kind of weight on them if I can help it. So again, this also helps them get used to shearing. It's one of those things that I don't think they truly enjoy, but when they realize, hey, it's not, you know, it's kind of warm out and I get a trim, oh, this is nice. So that's my hope, is that it will at least get them used to it. All right. Well, I think that's it. I'm trying to think of anything else I need to share or anything. I think that's it. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I look forward to chatting with you soon. Take care. Bye.